Hey, it's me again, Debbie, and we're doing the third in the series about Meniere's disease. Uh, this one is about keeping a journal. I briefly mentioned this in the last one, what is Meniere's disease, and I definitely want to go into detail here. If someone comes to me and says, I've got Meniere's disease, I was just diagnosed, or I've been having some vertigo, I'm seeing my doctor, it might be Meniere's disease, we don't know, whatever. If someone refers me to someone that they know, say, hey Deb, I know this person, been having vertigo for a long time, can you talk to them? I know you'll best understand what they're going through. The very first piece of advice I always give is keep a journal. I'm a writer, so journaling is second nature to me. I keep my own personal journal that I write in every morning. After I get up, it's like the second thing I do. First is take the dose of medication I have to take as soon as I get up. Then I sit down at the computer, and this particular journal I do keep on my computer. It stays in the cloud, my own personal cloud, not for everyone else to see. But this is something different. For this, I usually recommend, unless you're good at really typing into those tiny little screens on your phone or an iPod or a tablet or something, I recommend getting a notebook of some kind. This is actually what I used for mine. This little notebook. It's got, I've got stuff stuck in it as well. Little things that I've picked up here and there. That this is the one that I used early on. It wasn't until after my third or fourth bout that a doctor suggested that maybe try keeping a journal, and I had already been thinking about it because he had asked me if my menses had anything to do with it, if maybe that was a trigger. And I thought about that early on, but to me it didn't seem like it was until I started keeping the journal. It was in writing the journal and taking good notes that I started to see patterns coming about. This is the best way to see those patterns. For me, it's easier to pick up a book and scan through it as opposed to trying to remember, okay, what date or around what date could that have been, and then scrolling back through everything on a tiny little screen or even on my computer. Even to go back in my personal journal, it's like if I can't remember, because sometimes I do have to go back, and because I write about everything in the morning, I want to see, okay, when did this event occur? And it can be a pain to scroll back through, not knowing exactly when. But with a book, I can pick it up and I can browse through it a lot faster. But if you prefer to keep something on your phone, on your iPod, or even on your tablet, if that works for you, then go ahead. But take good notes. I recommend something like this, or even something like this, something you can carry on you at all times, because you can't always have your computer. Might not always be feasible to use your phone or something, but you can tuck away in your pocket or your bag, your purse, whatever, a little notebook. Write down the date. If you are making multiple entries, write down the time. Record everything at first, every tiny little thing that you observe. Also, if you have friends and family that you see on a regular basis who are in a position to observe you regularly, or even co-workers, get their input as well. If they come to you and say, hey, look, you're looking a little off. Is everything okay? Or your family being at home, they might pick up on other little things. Write down their observations as well. Put in the date, put in the time that that they noticed this. Make note of the things that you're eating, any medications that you take, any reactions you may have after that. Sodium is something that can trigger it in me, but I also have another illness where I have to keep my sodium level up. And I using my journal, I was able to start gauging that a lot better. Caffeine and alcohol don't really do anything with regard to the Ménières for me, but other people it does. Maybe chocolate or wheat, dairies, whatever. Make a note of everything until you see what your triggers are. You will see patterns emerging. Note the weather, because that can be a trigger. Your hormones, especially for women, your hormones can be a trigger. So take note of that as well. Wherever you are in your cycle, when these things happen. Allergies can be a big. Okay, I was outside gardening. I come back in because I got so dizzy I thought I was going to fall off the world. Allergies could be a trigger. Maybe you didn't have allergy problems before this. You do now. I didn't have issues with weather until 2009, when the original grommets that they put in my ear to use the Ménière device fell out. And it was my doctor's assistant who figured it out. I was calling like 3 times a day. I wasn't scheduled to see him. And we figured out in a hurry that the grommets had fallen out, but I'm calling her and calling her and calling her, and she finally said, you know something? We've been having a lot of weather stuff going on. So I bet you've added weather as a trigger. Sure enough. I went back to keeping my journal, and yeah. To get even more specific, once you figure out, from the beginning, where what your triggers are, what your symptoms are, how severe they are, how long your vertigo lasts. Once you've got all that, there are some, and I actually started this on my iPod. I didn't like the way it was set up on my phone, and I can't find it from my tablet, but it's called My Pain Diary. If you have an iPod, if you have an iPhone, check it out on iTunes, because it allows you to change things. It allows you to put in the specifics that are geared toward you. When they had an update come about, and I was looking at the notes and stuff that they had, they actually asked all users, okay, what do you use this app for? More people put other illnesses, not gauging pain. There were some ones with fibromyalgia and things like that where pain is an issue, but there were also others who had other illnesses that had nothing to do with pain. Mine didn't necessarily have to do with pain. It's Ménière's disease. And it's like, this app was perfect, because I started seeing, with the kind of details that they were asking, I started to see other patterns emerging that weren't coming out in my written journals. I was able to gauge and start being able to better see about coming on. It seemed that the closer I got to a bout, the more drop attacks I had, which I wouldn't have thought of. It's like usually like right before you get that fullness in the ears, your head gets a little wibbly wobbly, but I did not really look at it that I was having more drop attacks days before going into a bout. So when I'd have a drop attack, I started being more cautious. I already knew I was having more right after, because my system is weakened. But I did not realize that was a clue to me going into a bout having drop attacks, until I started to see the patterns emerging. Keeping a journal helps. writing everything down, especially at first, and then when you go to your doctor, you can take this little book with you. And the two of you can sit there and he or she can look through it and see what you've been writing down. You discuss it frankly and start to look at it from a different perspective and see, okay, well, you've got this happening here, so why don't we try something different? Journal is a godsend. I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you have not started one already, do it as soon as you can. If you're comfortable using your phone or your tablet, iPod, go ahead. If you just want to use your computer, can't take it everywhere. And if you're like me, you forget stuff. Excuse me. But keep the journal. However is best for you. Just keep the journal and keep those records and start to see what is right for you. What your triggers are. What works for you. What doesn't work for you. You know, I have a lot of drug allergies, so, you know, we were kind of, you know, going a little iffy on some of the stuff that I was being put on in the beginning. And had to really take note of that and how things were, because I even, you know, as I was glancing back through this one earlier, I can see, oh yeah, I took, you know, such and such medication here with this dosage. So by putting in also the medications I was taking, I was, you know, able to keep record and be able to see, okay, this is the medication I'm reacting to. I know what my medication reactions look like. But when you're also new at an illness, things can get all jumbly. And having this written in front of me really helped. So do yourself a huge favor. Get a little notebook. Carry it around. Or a big notebook. I've got a loose leaf binder around here somewhere where I also keep different things that I've gotten from my doctors. Test results and things like that. Because I am writing you a book about all of this, and that helps as well. So I've not only got these, I've also got that as well, where I've got everything that I've been keeping. So get a journal and keep it, and I'm hoping the next set, the next video segment I'll do, I think I'm going to get more into triggers and symptoms and start really getting into the meat of what's caused me to begin these video segments, and that is how has Ménière's affected me. So until the next time, get your journal, keep your journal, and start to find answers for yourself and what's right for you. Bye, y'all.